Hello boys and girls, just want to give you an update on the latest project I'm working on. Um, if you don't know what those are, they're called valves for a sprinkler system. So I got this all glued up and ready to go in the ground, and these parts here are the three different zones going out to the sprinkler heads. We got several different styles of sprinkler heads that we'll be installing. These are the high efficiency ones that are going to use 94% of the stuff. And there's the silly pipe. And well, I got some PVC there for going under the driveway and hooking the valve system to the main water feed. The water line that we got coming back to the she shed next door here has got a shut-off valve on it up there, so we'll use that circuit that comes back to the she shed to tee in underneath that valve and feed this system too, so that way we have a way to shut it off. It's not shutting the house off. And these will go into the bottom of the sprinkler heads and go to that silly pipe. That stuff is real thick and tough, so it should do just fine, and you don't have to dig a real deep ditch to install everything. So got some little cool stuff here. This is yellow, orange, and blue for marking the different zones, and that tells me which color we used on the wiring. So when we go back to the controller and hook up our valve bodies to the controller, we'll know which valves are going to which zones on the controller and be able to distinguish it very easily. So this is a plan. I'm looking at it from this side. This is where we are now in this shed here, and then that's the she shed with a lean-to in the back where we keep the mower and stuff. And the whole yard is fenced in, and that's the oak tree with the tree house in it. And this is our existing flower bed that's out there now with the vegetables and flowers and stuff in it. Got that little sunshade over it. So we're going to think about, after this project's over, changing that a little bit and building a pergola style greenhouse here with 12 by 16, some big column 6 by 6 posts, and make it look like a pergola on the top with the clear thick panels, so we don't get rain in there, because we'll have a watering system we can regulate, because here in Florida it rains pretty bad sometimes in the spring and summer, and it'll flood your plants out. So then we'll add some flower beds on the back there where we just finished building this porch, and that's all done now. So we'll put flower beds around that to match the ones on the back of the house. So all that to say is later on we'll do an addition to these zones and add more valves, and that's what this T here, or this plug here, is for going to feed some more valves over in this area for the backyard, and that would be a separate project later on. Say why you don't do it all at the same time. Well, the backyard is not near as critical on needing water. It's got the St. Augustine grass and the bahia we just put down After we moved all the pavers up to the front, we put down a pallet full of sod and filled in the areas where the pavers were missing. But for the most part, St. Augustine grass, and it's really hardy and doesn't dry out near as much as the front yard does. Beside that, the drain field for the septic system is in this area underground, and it keeps everything nice and green all year round pretty much. So we'll think about whether or not we really need to add a couple more zones for the backyard, but if we do, we can, because we got the way to cut that and put more T's and more valves in, and we can run the pipe for the backyard later. But that's the plan now. These offsets here, because I'm probably going to be coming up out of the ground level, maybe around here somewhere, and I'll be coming up out of the ground somewhere so I can tap into that main water feed where the valve is over by the trash cans. And these will go on the other side of the fence, right in front of the trash cans, next to the wall near the front porch. So that leads us to this location here is the front fence, and the trash cans here, and the little arbor where the jasmine pots are at, and the jasmine is growing around that big arbor there. And we'll put the 3 valves that we have here rigged up, ready to go in this location here in front of that bush outside where the trash cans are at. So one of them, the yellow, so we got these color coded, yellow, orange, and blue. But the yellow one will come and feed one head right here against the edge of where the front porch starts, and it'll go 180 degrees and catch this whole area here. And then we'll have 3 more heads in front of where my truck is parked at, all the way up to the street, and they'll do a 360, and they'll take care of that about 17-foot, 16-foot area all along the side of the driveway there. And then these are the 3 places where we're going to go under the driveway. The yellow zone doesn't go under the driveway, but the other 2 do. So the blue and the orange will go under the driveway. And this zone here where that T is will feed a head that does 180 in front of the house, and then 3 more heads that do 180 on the side and the front corner there, and this one head on this side of the driveway that will do a 180, and that'll be for zone 2. This is zone 3, so that would be the orange, I think, yeah, in the middle. And then the blue will probably be this main zone here in the front yard. We have a big I can't remember what that's called, but some kind of a palm. This is a Formosa scrub palm that's probably 30 foot, 25 feet tall, with a trunk so it doesn't impede the lower area. And then there's a bush there that we might remove, but this palm is real bushy and only about 15 foot tall, but it spans out a lot at the top, and it's pretty thick at the bottom too. So this main front zone will have 2 heads next to the street. One will do a 90-degree arc, and this is usually the area where it's driest at and near the street. And we'll have another zone that does the 180 here in front, and then a big one in the middle that does a 360 that'll catch the rest. So we got one there, one there, one here, and a big one there, and then one on the corner that'll do a 180 and cover everything. So I've got an access a low gate like we have there behind the truck that's on the other side of the house that I can open up all the way, and I can actually drive in with the truck and store my trailer and stuff in the back. And that gives access to the backyard. So we're not going to plant too much here, but we are going to water the grass in that area. So the plan is pretty much set for now. It may change a little bit once you get out there and start digging. You never know until you get there. And this is a revision plan from the original backyard plan that we had done. There's the original backyard plan done several years ago that we modified and changed. And we were going to put 500 square feet worth of pavers in there in front of the sheds and a walkway, but we changed our mind on that and put grass down instead. So that's where we're at with that. But we got the standard Rainbird 6 zone controller, so we can add 2 more zones or 3 more if we want to the valve body there. And we got a rain sensor which senses whether or not it's raining outside. You can hear that clicking. It senses rain, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch deep rain, and it'll shut the sprinkler system off. And those 2 will wire in here where that little jumper's at, and then we'll have to mount it on the eave of the house somewhere near where our valves are at. And then I've got a pretty good idea where I'm going to put this, because I don't want to be too far away from my zone valves. And I was looking at it the other day. I don't want to have to go through the wall and put it inside the laundry room. So I do have a pretty good option though, because last year we mounted a time clock for Christmas lights, and we put that time clock inside this PVC junction box. So there's room in there to mount that thing on the back of the door and have plenty of clearance. And we can run another 1 inch or 1/2 inch PVC pipe out of the bottom to put the wire in, get down into the ground. And then that valve there, the blue one, purple one, or whatever that is, we'll cut into the bottom underside of that valve, put a T in there, and that's where the feed for the new sprinkler heads will be. And then we'll put the valves that were sitting on the cart in the shed, and we'll put them over there in front of that concrete next to that bush out past the fence a little ways, because most all the pipes are going to go that way anyhow. So that's the deal there. That'll be in that box and be protected from the weather, and it'll be real close to the valve, so you can work on it and test and play with it real easy and see what's going on without going in and out of the laundry room or the house. We don't have a garage here, but we do have the laundry room with the freezer and washer and dryer and hot water heaters all in that same room. So that's the option plan for now, to put that controller inside of this junction box. There's plenty of room in there. I just got to mount a receptacle inside there too to plug it into, because it's got those controllers work off 24 volt AC, and this cord here plugs in right there, to power up the controller with that 24 volts, and then this is the power supply that we'll have to plug into an outlet inside that box. That'll keep everything out of the weather. It should work nicely. So that's the update for today, and the plan ahead is to get 3 lines under the driveway first, and then I'll rent a little mini trencher because we don't need to be real deep with these lines. Just below the side, I'm going to go about 8 inches, lay that pipe everywhere, and after we get the pipes under the driveway, which I'm going to use 3 of these 10-foot sticks to get under with. Got this from a lot of other jobs I've done. You can see that long PVC pipe on the top of the fence there. It's got this head on it that I drilled a bunch of holes in, and we can hook a water hose to that end of it, and then we'll force that thing with water pressure and them little head thing coming out the other end, and we'll blast a whole tunnel under the driveway, and then we'll stick another piece of pipe in behind it and tape it up both ends first. Stick another piece of pipe in there. That way we don't try to stuff the silly pipe under there, because that's not going to be easy as it doesn't go straight. And I'll put one of these on each end of the PVC under the driveway, and that'll be the transition from the hard pipe under the driveway to the silly pipe. So we'll do that 3 times in 3 different areas. And then these are for the silly pipe when we tee off in different places. So I think we got 90% of what we need to do it. We're going to go ahead and start on, at our leisure, we're going to go ahead and start on getting some stuff ready so we can get this system rigged up and in the ground before we go rent a trencher and start trenching these little lines out everywhere. So I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this, a little how can you do your own sprinkler system video. It's not really hard. It's just you want to make a plan. That's the main thing. You want to understand how much water pressure you got and how many gallons per minute. You can do that with a 5-gallon bucket and a little timer. And then from that you can size the size of your spray heads. You got different sizes. Most all mine are going to be in the 15-foot range. You can see that's 13 to 18 foot, 360 degrees. And it might either be this big one here or one of these smaller ones here. I think the smaller one's a little less than the footage. But once you understand what kind of head you're going to need, and you got to make a plan in order to do that, and how much water flow you're going to have for each zone as it's on, because they're only going to be on one at a time. And don't have too many heads based on the amount of flow and the amount of distance you're shooting the water. Don't have too many heads on one zone. And understand that making the plan helps you create a parts list that you can go to the big box store, Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards or wherever you get your stuff at, and then use that plan to help you understand what you need to do to get your system ready to install. It'll save you a lot of money from somebody else doing it, and it's not too complicated. I mean, each one of these solenoid valves. It's got one wire that's going to be all three of these. One wire on each valve is going to tie together, and this is done in a soldered connection. That white wire tie represents the white wire that's in this cable, and that'll be the common. And your common hooks up, and you got zone 1, 2, and 3, orange, blue, and yellow, and spare wires for more zones later on. And the spare wires are sealed off up here, protected from the weather, so they're soldered and heat shrinked and protected, so we don't have any wire nuts or anything like that. And this is an underground rated sprinkler cable, which is 18 gauge solid, very heavy duty, protected for years to come from the elements. And then you just hook them things up to the controller there. Zone 1, 2, 3, and the common is the white connectors. So it's not complicated. You just got to do a little planning in order to make it a reality, and then a little digging. We're going to try to make the digging part. Might get my dad to come over and help with that. But just another little update. See that hole we've been digging there? We got this new pipe run for the sprinkler valve control wires. That'll come over here, and we'll cut a T into this line, run that out to the valves over there. This is the line that goes back to the she shed. So the valve control wires will come over and go up in this pipe. And today we mounted the rain sensor up there on the eave. Brought that cable down, brought it up in the box here, terminated where the rain sensor terminates. We got the power feeding it for the controller for the valves. We got a receptacle installed in here, tapped off the GFI over here. So it's GFI protected receptacle that feeds the sprinkler controller. It's mounted on the back of the door with some stainless steel lock nuts. So it's all contained in that one box. Keep it dry. So now we got to do the valves next over there and run the cable up. But that's the progress today. Okay, here's another little update. A nice pile of dirt excavated here, and we got our valve bodies installed, and the feed line is piped in. Got that covered up already where it goes under the fence. Those three lines that go out to the different zones. So over here, fighting the dirt and other pipes that are in the way. See, we got that feed line tapped in here, and that other line at the bottom down there goes to the she shed and water the backyard. There's a sink in the she shed, so But the tap for the sprinkler system is tied in. Everything's installed over there. We just got to do all the zones. And then the wire that goes to all the zone valves controlling everything we got stuffed into this pipe. Brought that up into here. So here in a little bit we'll strip this baby back and terminate it on the first 3 valves there. And we got the power on. We got to set the clock. And so just a little update before I bury this part. I'm going to leave that open until we get some lines dug over to it. But the supply part is done. So thank you for watching.
Come here, Cookie. Cookie.